Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katelyn, and today we are doing another Monster Mash. So today we're going back to a very traditional way to make Monster Mashes. We're going to be getting two animals and two characteristics from the Twitch chat to combine together into a new creature. I also want to do a quick plug for my Kickstarter, which just went live last week. It is the Katelyn McCaigue Creature Compendium, where I have a full book that you can use in Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder or any other tabletop RPGs. It is completely filled with my own original creatures, ones that have been on this channel and ones that I am making currently and will be making in the future. So if you want to check it out, there's a link down in the description, and I would really appreciate your support. All right, so with that plug out of the way, let's go ahead and make this creature. So I have the straw polls ready to go. We're gonna have the two animals plus the two characteristics. All of them are going to be sent by my Twitch community, so go ahead, Twitch chat, send me your options for the first animal, and then I'll collect the rest, and then we will vote. All right, so the Twitch chat has voted, and for animal one, we had the options of hummingbird, narwhal, Hercules beetle, pufferfish, hedgehog, and crocodile. And crocodile won by like 2 votes. All right, so we got crocodile. And then for the next one, we have killer whale, brush viper, linsang, raven, bullfrog, or scorpion. And we got raven. So we got a crocodile raven. What the fuck is this gonna be? All right, well, we won't know until we get the characteristics. So characteristic 1, we had undead, cybernetic, frozen / ice, giant, or miniature. And giant, oh my god. Giant won by like 1 vote. Oh, this is gonna be really intense. And then final characteristic, we had armor, quilted, Frankenstein, bejeweled, or ghost. And we got ghost. So it's a giant ghost crocodile raven. Okay. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. This is gonna be really interesting. This one is actually really tough. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it, but what I'm gonna go ahead and do, I'm gonna jump in, we'll do a couple of rough sketches to try to figure out how to combine all these. And then we'll jump in after we pick a design. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do, but let me go ahead and start with some rough sketches. So for this part of the process, I was trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to go with this. It was a little tough to kind of wrap my brain around at first, and I just had to like basically vomit out any ideas that came to mind, because this one was actually kind of a challenge to start with. First of all, a crocodile raven was already an interesting combination to work with, but then to add in ghost and giant, that was a whole nother beast to tackle. Get it? Beast to tackle. Anyway, so I just had to get a couple of ideas out of my head and onto the paper, and I already started gravitating towards a few of them after sketching them, and kind of already knew the direction I wanted to go once I started sketching. So that's what I always encourage. If there's any artists that want to try doing monster mashes or character or creature designs, it usually helps to just, you know, sketch it out. Think it out before you dive into any type of final piece. Get any idea you can think of down on paper. Even if you think it's a stupid idea or like you don't like it, those ideas can lead to even better ideas, and it's good to just get it all out of your head and onto a piece of paper so you can review it, look at it, process it, and see what you like about it. All right, guys, so we have finished these sketches for this creature, and I'm actually getting more and more excited for this. At first, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do, but after like chatting with the Twitch chat and figuring things out, I think we're on a pretty good track for making a cool creature. So for me, I'm gravitating a lot towards option 1, just because that one looks like a really giant mythical like creature, and it would be really easy to make it a very cool ghost. So what I'm thinking about doing is making parts of it translucent. So what I'm thinking about is making parts of it more like translucent, so then you see like some bones or some interesting structures within it, and just really pushing that ghost aspect. The other 3 designs I'm really digging. I love number 3, I love number 4. I really like them, but for those I feel they're much more, I guess, land-based normal creatures. They could be made into ghosts, but I don't think they'd be as effective as number 1. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and run with design number 1. I'm gonna pull a couple aspects, probably from 3 and a couple from 4 that I like extra plumage with like the feathers and a few other things, but I'm gonna run with the overall design of number 1, And we will jump in, we'll do a much more interesting sketch, give him a nice dynamic pose, do the line art and color, and then we will be done. I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so now with the final design selected and picked out, it was time to jump in and actually start rendering and creating this creature. So I wanted some really interesting and dynamic pose that also was a little bit creepy. Since this thing is part ghost, I really want to make sure that it had kind of this creepy, ethereal, weird vibe to it. So I thought, why don't we have it floating? That, first of all, obviously sells the idea of ghost, or it's some type of mythical thing, especially with like the size of its wings. Those aren't really practical wings, it's just, they're kind of there. So having it float kind of gives the idea that it's just this weird, ethereal, ghostly like thing. And after I figured out the pose and sketched that out, I jumped into the line work. And specifically for this one, I added a ton of detail to this one because I just had so much fun. I just got carried away with adding all these little bumps and feathers and extra little details. And I think this one in total, oh God, I don't remember. I think it took me about 5 to 6 hours to paint total, or maybe it was 4 to 5. I'd have to go back and look, but I was really into the line art. I got like super into adding all these little details and making this thing look really, really cool. And I also kept the line art, I guess you could say, kind of more loose. I wasn't super hard edged, and I made sure to have kind of like a little bit of a wobble to my line art just because I wanted it to look, I guess, more loose and ethereal and ghostly. So I didn't want to have just these really hard, harsh lines. I wanted it to have some type of movement and shape to the lines overall. And I also had to think about, I wanted to add in the color later on, I wanted to make this character at least a little translucent and have some type of elements on the inside also conveyed through the coloring. So I had to think about that for the line work. I didn't want to have everything outlined in harsh lines. Like, for example, if the wings were overlaying each other, we wouldn't want harsh wing lines over everything. We just needed to make sure that they were still there, but they weren't like hard lines. It's kind of like if you were to overlay, like tissue paper over some type of object. The lines, or like the shape itself, become a little bit more faded. So I wanted to kind of convey that by having some hints of lines behind like the wings, but not like a for sure hard, like, oh yeah, that's for sure the tail line, or that's for sure the other part of the wing. I wanted to make sure that it was pushed back in space behind the other shapes. So now with the line work out of the way, I jumped into doing the coloring, and I had a blast with this one. It actually at first was a little bit of a challenge because with the whole wanting it to be a little see-through and adding the bones and other internal parts, it was a little bit muddy at first. Like, I didn't know how I wanted to convey it. I've done it before with like the blue dragon slug. I had the different bones and organs kind of peeking through. But for this one, it was a little bit harder to render it without them looking, I don't know, like they were popping out too much. So at first I started with the more whitish color of the bones, but then I was like, well, if this has like a dark outer ghostly form to it, those bones would be more dark. They wouldn't be glowing white. So I had to go back and make those a little bit darker. And then I wanted to for sure get the color of the raven in there, like some blacks and grays, and really have that coloring added to it as well. And then I also picked a very light, kind of airy green to make sure it had this desaturated color to it. And I really like how all the colors complemented each other. And actually right here in the drawing, I love how it looks right here. I mean, I love the final piece overall, but this part right here was so fun, having the really bright white eyes against the green skin and the dark feathers. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And then of course, I've been trying to add more backgrounds when I can, and I challenged myself to do kind of a swamp look, and I had fun experimenting with doing the reflection of the creature as if it's just hovering over the water. I wanted to make sure it had kind of that creepy reflection, so I had fun playing with that. And then I had fun playing with the texturing of the water, like if its fingers were just barely touching the surface, what ripples would be there. And after kind of figuring out how the background would be and where the lighting was coming from in that background, I went in and started adding shadows and shading to this thing. And man, this all really brought it together. Giving it these extra creepy shadows along its eyes and in different parts really made the white eyes pop and make the whole thing overall have a much creepier vibe. It turned out awesome and I'm so happy with it, and I'm just so excited to really develop the lore for this and put it in the creature compendium. Alright guys, we are all done with this Monster Mash, and I am super happy with this one. That's like 2 weeks in a row of like really solid Monster Mashes that I am very, very happy with. So I feel I'm on a roll. I'm gonna knock on wood. It's not too early, but still, like, I don't know. I just love how these are looking, and especially this one. I think this is one of the most creepy Monster Mashes I've done on the channel. I used to do a lot of creepy art and monster art back in like high school and when I was younger, so it was really cool to kind of jump in and do something super creepy again, and this one turned out awesome. So for this one, we did the combination of the crocodile and the raven. So the overall body structure was more of the crocodile. We had some crocodile legs, the raven forearms, and then 2 sets of raven wings. And then the whole thing overall, I tried to give it kind of a translucent, ghostly feel, so in some parts you can see what seem to be like bones or like organs or different things floating around in it, and I love it so much. And we talked about it in chat quite a bit, trying to figure out what to name this thing, and going off of the 4-wing idea, I think I'm gonna call this the Swamp Seraph. So this thing protects its swamp and protects the creatures that live there, and probably protects the souls of people who died or animals that died in its swamp. If you encounter this thing in the wild, you are probably screwed because this thing is a giant beast. I made a little guy for reference on how tall this thing is. So here's my little stick figure right here. And this guy is huge in comparison. I'm gonna say that's like a 6-foot person. So just imagine this giant creature just floating towards you while you're in a swamp. That would be frightening. So if you want more backstory and more interesting things about this creature, make sure to support the Complete McCaigue Creature Compendium over on Kickstarter. This creature will be available in that book. I'll have a backstory, lore, its stats, everything you need to put it in your Dungeons & Dragons games. So thanks again guys for stopping by and checking out this video, and if you aren't already, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have new videos every week. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like down below, or comment and let me know what you think of this thing. Is it super creepy, or would you want it as a pet? Let me know in the comments down below. So thanks again guys for stopping by, and I will see you all next time. Bye everybody.